All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our first of this Week 16 summer series. Today, we're hosting the flight attendant call. We know that knowledge is key to growth, and we have some very knowledgeable ladies today to share their experience and tips. We'll start off with Roxandra. And whenever you're ready, we'll begin.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I want to, on behalf of WCA, I want to welcome everybody to our first Sweet 16 summer series. I am Ruxandra Mihai. I am Vice President of Women in Corporate Aviation. I'm a former flight attendant, both commercial and corporate, with 30 years experience in aviation. Right now, I'm a trainer of business aviation in Bucharest, Romania, and I run a business aviation agency, Train Aviation, in Romania. I'm very pleased and honored to be here with you today with my fellow colleagues from different parts of the world and to share with you all our knowledge and to give you some tips and tricks for this amazing industry that it's business aviation, let's say. We will start today with the flight attendant. We wanted with this summer series to invite everyone to join our workshops. Not only because they are very helpful for your career path if you want to join aviation, but also for the new ones that they want to start doing this in aviation. So we thought that the first step today it will be with flight attendants. So with the help of Tanisha, and I want to thank you for her work, we put it together some presentation, some slides, and I would like to begin with what means, in fact, corporate aviation. Very shortly, corporate aviation means any company or individual that operates private jets for private or commercial use. It can be one aircraft and the whole series. They can be privately owned aircraft, they can be chartered aircraft, or both. We know that business aviation is the luxury of the aviation. So usually the ones that they are starting to work as flight attendants, as commercial flight attendants, they want to switch to private aviation after a while. Or a lot of people working in hospitality field wants to join the aviation industry, and they think that this job, the corporate flight attendant job, it will be suitable for them. So who in fact is a corporate flight attendant? Shortly, a flight attendant, also called a business aviation or cabin server or cabin attendant or VIP cabin flight attendant or cabin service representative, is a flight attendant who work on a private jet, generally referred as business aircraft or private jets. They provide service to corporate guests. Private airlines and corporation hire corporate flight attendants to be full-time or part-time during flexible schedules that every day they can change this. If you'd like to be a corporate flight attendant and if you have a background in aviation, then for sure you will need to fill up some requirements, and you have to have some skills in order to become a corporate flight attendant. I designed in here just a general some requirements, but general requirements, and we'll see after that why do we need also training for this. So you will have to have at least minimum 21 years old. It's a mistake in here with 45 years old because I know that it's not true. It is a little bit hard in Europe to be hired after 50 years old, but I know that in the States and in Canada as well, you can be hired after 50 years old. And you have to have a good health, and it is preferably not to be a smoker. We will fly in a jewel, because a private jet is a jewel. You have to have, let's say, between 156 and 155 meters, because due to cabin height. Sometimes, especially in the Middle East, they said that they mentioned that weight should be in proportion to height, but I saw this advertising only in the Middle East. You don't have to have tattoos, so no visible tattoos while wearing a uniform or piercings. Definitely, we must be able to swim 25 meters at least. An eligible passport with appropriate visa. That means that we don't have to have a criminal record offense. So no criminal record offense. 5-star hotel or restaurants experience, it's an advantage, or any other job in hospitality field is an advantage. Fluent English, definitely. Any other foreign language is an advantage, starting with French, Russian, Mandarin, or whatever. Excellent skills in customer service. I think these are mandatory, and also excellent organizational skills, because we are working in an aircraft in a small environment, let's say, and we have to keep in mind this, and we have to have to pay a lot of attention to details. Also, to be discreet and very flexible. If I can say something about private aviation, I can say that flexibility is mandatory, and also discretion is also a golden rule in private aviation. Experience in business class or first class airline service is a plus. Sometimes companies from the Middle East, they hire a lot of people with experience in commercial aviation, from big and very well-known airlines such as Emirates or Qatar or Etihad. So this is a plus. If you don't have experience in corporate aviation, at least you can have experience in business or first class. Experience in hospitality. And sometimes, for example, in Saudi Arabia, they say that they mention only male, they specify that only male or female allowed. But these are just general. Any company can ask for specific requirements. These are just general requirements, and I think we can put this also in Europe and in the States, and also in the Middle East. If we are talking about skills needed to be a corporate flight attendant, then first of all, you have to effectively manage your time. I put in here, be an event planner, because it's a big hat. You are not only a flight attendant. You can be a nanny. You can be an event planner. You can be a personal assistant. You can be a psychologist, a waiter, a firefighter, anything. We all the time interfere with several flight departments, so we have to keep in mind that every company has standard operation procedures, and these are mandatory, because safety is mandatory for our customers. You have to remain open-minded at all time and be impeccably organized. To perform safe and creative menu planning and food execution, and we'll talk after that about training. You have to maintain your recurrent training annually, and it's your own responsibility to do that. To remain open-minded at all times, and to willing to consider new ideas from all the people around you, because you never know, and it's better to see the whole pictures and to be open to ideas about from the people around you. It's a must to be tolerant, to be patient, and to be very receptive, willing to listen or to consider new suggestions. That means to be very adaptable. What else? Broad-minded, I said in here, being able to think fast, improvise, adapt, and stay cool in very, very stressful situation. You have to be able to adapt to different positions, duties, and responsibilities. because you will have to deal with a lot of clients, different clients with different personalities, different nationalities, different cultures. So you have to be aware of cultural awareness as well. Strong customer service skills, I can say in here, excellent customer service skills, because excellency, it's a word that define private aviation and luxury aviation. Multitasking, you have to do a lot of things um, to have situational awareness, because you have to keep in mind, even if it's a small aircraft, that doesn't mean that things cannot happen in there. And you have to put a little personal touch on everything you do, because people will remember, they probably not remember the flight, but definitely they will remember how you treat them. And definitely they will remember if you put your personal touch in everything you do in the aircraft. Your flair and personality, your own distinctive style that can you express in your own service or food execution or everything you do, and how you treat your customers on board of the aircraft. There are two types of corporate flight attendants. It's a full-time flight attendant, or a contract flight attendant, or a freelance. It's the same in Europe, and I know it's the same in US. If you are a freelance and you have the possibility to work, you are going to work solo, you are not tied to any particular company. And I think, in my opinion, that this is the most different and challenging and rewarding job, because you can do you can put in your work the best of you. You have the freedom to choose which flight duties to accept, and when you are going to accept this. If you have a busy schedule, you can skip a flight, or you can choose another one if you like it, or you like the people who worked for that company. You don't have a roster, but you have to have a good network. You have at least to have experience in corporate aviation, experience in aviation, to be in touch with a lot of people from aviation, to have a network, and to have connections on social media, and also groups such as LinkedIn or Facebook groups specially designed for flight attendants. Anyway, your network should be a very good network connection. If you are going to work full-time for an airline or for an owner, it's much more easier, because you are not tied up with a single aircraft. You work in a team. Sometimes you know your customers very well, because you can design the passenger profiles. If you have always the same passengers, or at least the same passengers, you can design the passengers profile. It's easier to know their wishes, their preferences. It's easier to work with people you know already. In Europe, you will be asked to have an EASA attestation in order to fly on a big aircraft. That means on a BBJ or an ACJ. And otherwise, if you work on an aircraft with less than 19 seats, you are not asked. You are not. It is not mandatory to have an attestation in order to fly on a small aircraft, less than 19 seats. What else? Let's see. Okay, so we have two types of corporate flight attendants. I think it's the same in US, and definitely you can correct me after that, but it's the same like a freelancer and a full contract. In Middle East as well, and in Europe as well. And if we are talking about our work on board of these aircraft, I think we need education and training. Definitely, when we apply for a job as a corporate flight attendant, sometimes the companies, they will ask for a minimum, high school diploma or a degree in a master degree or a degree in education. We need especially a safety training, a safety emergency training. And I know from my fellow colleagues that in the States, Fly Safety International and Air Care Facts are the most required ones, or similar, definitely. It is not cheap to start to work as a flight attendant, because you have to pay your own trainings, and after you will receive a certificate in safety trainings. You will need some soft skills trainings, such as culinary trainings, etiquette trainings, whatever it takes to design the whole picture of a good flight attendant, corporate flight attendant. Sometimes in Europe, companies don't ask as a requirement to have an emergency safety certificate, because they will pay you after you get hired. They will pay you for this certificate. But you will find out about all the requirements of the companies in the moment you apply for a job, because you will find on their official websites or the recruiting sites, you will find exactly the requirements of the company in this matter. I think it's a little bit more expensive in US versus Europe or Middle East to get trained in this matter. I know that in the States you can pay a few $1,000s for a safety emergency certificate, and in Europe it's a little bit cheaper, just 100 euros, such a certificate. But if you put all together all the trainings you need, make sure that you have this amount of money when you decide to start this career as a corporate flight attendant. You need a lot of training, you need a lot of work, and you have to be very, very well prepared to be a corporate flight attendant. I put here some cabin safety training in US. You can tell me after that if you have some others. Air Care Facts training, beyond and above corporate flight the training. We have Da Vinci in Flight Training Institute. We have Fly Safety International, Sky Angels, VVIP International. I think I put twice Fly Safety International, I'm sorry. And in United Kingdom, we have corporate flight training. We have Fly Safety International as well. In France, we have Sky Professionals. We have Fly Exclusive in Berlin, in Germany. These are just a few, because definitely there are some more, even in US and Europe as well. If you need some soft skills, you can apply to Da Vinci in Flight Training Institute in Florida, the corporate service and etiquette. In Europe, we have also corporate flight training, Train Aviation, HESTI recruitment, training solution. I'm mentioning here just a few, so definitely depends on where you live, or you will find a suitable one for you. But you will need definitely to be trained in order to be a corporate flight attendant. So the rules are the same all over the world, even if you are Europe, US, Canada, or Middle East. It's a very different job. It's a very challenging one, and it's not an easy one, I can say. But I encourage everyone, if they love aviation, if they want to do this and they have experience in hospitality, or they have the necessary skills to be flight attendants, to try to fulfill their dreams, because you cannot find any other job as this one. Different peoples, different customers, a lot of benefits, but a lot, and much more work than benefits.
Thank
I
you
will
so
pass
much.
to my colleague. Yes, please. I will pass to my fellow colleagues to follow me in this presentation with the CRM. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Catherine Martoni to cover CRM.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I love being here today. I love being part of WCA mentoring. It's a wonderful group. And I love, that we're doing this, and it's great to be educated. And again, it kind of goes with, we're learning new things all the time, from the first day we become a flight attendant to, 20 years later. So it's always a learning process. And, it's really important that we kind of keep up with that. So I'm going to be discussing some aspects of CRM and how it applies to us as a flight attendant. It is a very loaded topic. It's one of my favorites, but there's a lot to it. So I'll do my best to just go over kind of the basics with this. First and foremost, CRM is crew resource management. It's a set of training procedures used and taught to improve aviation safety and reduce human error. So the catalyst for this training starting was actually the Tenerife air disaster in 1977. So it occurred on the Spanish island of Tenerife. I will not give all the details, but there was two aircrafts that collided on the runway, killing 583 people. So post this accident, the government agencies started to invest in looking at these programs and training. And NASA was actually the first one to hold a workshop shortly after the development of CRM training program started, and officially started in 1981, training flight crew members and all other personnel that are essential with flight safety. During the kind of evolution of CRM, basically what was found was that human error was the leading cause of accidents in aviation. They also found that there was a chain of events and errors that occur leading up to the actual event. So with error management, hopefully what we can do is identify places that we can actually break this chain and stop the event from happening. When it comes to the word resources, what does that mean? There we go. This refers to really everybody that is a part of the aviation operations. So it's crew members, it's air traffic controllers, mechanics. Next. Thought I was going to move my slide. Sorry about that. Line service, schedulers. Again, everybody that has an active role. The FAA mandated this course. So mostly in part 121, because it does not, in corporate aviation, as we know, flight attendants are not FAA mandated. The training is something that the companies require, but the FAA does not govern us. But so when I say it's FAA mandated, I'm talking of pilots, and then in 121 flight attendants as well. So CRM focuses on situational awareness, communication skills, decision-making, problem solving, and teamwork, which is the biggest part of being a crew. It's great when the departments can actually do this training together. It's really hard, as we know, to get everybody who's especially flying and moving parts together at the same time for this training. But when you can do this, it's really amazing. Even if you can do it as an airplane crew, just to be able to go over these skills and do it in one, together. CRM also covers the important human factors such as crew fatigue, circadian rhythm, and stress. Those, again, the human factors are what, is the limiting ability or can limit our ability to do our jobs safely and effectively. So how does CRM apply to your role as a flight attendant? So first and foremost, you are part of the crew. The word crew is not just pertain to pilots. It is everybody on that aircraft. So please make sure that you understand you are a vital part of the operation, and communication being the backbone of CRM, we communicate as flight attendants with everybody. We communicate with, our crew, trip handlers, line service, schedulers, catering vendors, passengers, everybody. So communication is very huge to us. As a contract flight attendant, sometimes difficult because we get on an assigned trip and we do not have all of the information that has to do with the normal day-to-day flight operations. So it's really important that we ask all of the questions that will not only help you do your job successfully, but also it's a safety factor. There's sometimes backup things that you may not know about the aircraft or the passengers or, even your crew. So it's really important to ask questions. How do we ensure and improve the use of CRM at our job? So if you are a full-time flight attendant with, say, a charter company or even on a Part 91 account, you can take an active role in mitigating risks with your operation by participating in a lot of different things. So examples of that might be, maybe you're going to request to be part of meetings that happen at work. You can actually look into the role of a safety representative on your aircraft. Each aircraft is supposed to have that person, and that does not have to be a pilot. You can also suggest in-house trainings or meetings that just accompany you and the crew, or anybody else you want to obviously include. And, in our day-to-day, since situational awareness is really important, obviously your aircraft security and equipment checks are very vital. And are you passing on this information? Anything little that you may find either on the aircraft or at your work that might be a potential hazard, are you giving this information to everybody? Are you reporting it through SMS? Or are you passing this on to everybody that needs to know? In that, crew briefings is super important. This is also the opportunity for you to pass on this kind of information. So crew briefings are supposed to involve pilots and flight attendants prior to every flight. This information is really important. We find out things like what the weather is en route, any mechanical issues, departure and arrival times. We obviously don't need to know the pilot's full flight plan, but the route of travel, passenger information, who is on your aircraft. And F, which is really important, goes back to the human factors of check in with your crew members, do a health and mental health check with them. When we talk about stress and things like that, it's a good opportunity to kind of see where everybody is that day. Is there any fatigue going on or anything where as a crew member, we can kind of work together as a team? What do we do if it is not happening at work? If we witness lack of communication or just CRM in general, not really being utilized to the full potential, you obviously want to bring this up in a constructive way. A lot of times you want to just kind of follow your chain of command. So maybe that person is your lead pilot, maybe it's your safety or your safety representative, maybe it's your supervisor, but you want to really bring up the topic of CRM and say, I'd love to see this being utilized a little bit more. Maybe your safety briefings are not happening. I'm sorry, your crew briefings. Maybe you see just lack of communication in other places, and that you really do want to not be afraid to bring these things up and talk about them, because safety is vital and the most important thing when it comes to aviation. And if we're not communicating or being safe, then obviously, you know, that's an opportunity for things to happen and escalate, and that chain of errors to occur. So again, this is a loaded topic. You know, there's so many details that go into CRM, not just from the training aspect, but all of the important essentials of being a flight attendant and being a team member. But I just really want you to remember that communication is the backbone of CRM. You are a vital, important role in your operation, in your job, and obviously every flight. Take the trainings when they're available, not just maybe your annual recurrent training, but if there's extra CRM trainings that you can take, I really encourage you to do that. And lead by example at work. I like to say, be the crew member you want to work with. So, and that's a blanket statement, but with communication, with patience, with, you know, just taking that active role of making sure that your environment is safe and that your team member's environment is safe. So with that, does anybody have any questions? Either on CRM, the origin, the training itself. Does anybody have any questions?
If you'd like, you can place your questions in the chat, and we'll allow Marie to present, and then we'll come back, if that's okay, Catherine, to the questions that they may have. Great, great. Okay, Marie will be our last speaker for today.
Okay, good morning and good afternoon to all. Today I'll be sharing some important topics related to soft skills in a daily flight attendant context. These are going to elevate a customer service through our own abilities. My name is Mary Florian, and I'm a business flight attendant and instructor. And I'm very glad to be part of this event. So let's start. Let me share you my screen. All right. This presentation is divided into 6 items, which are key concepts or a glossary, soft skills, then the age of the customer, effective communication and empathy, and last but not least, cultural awareness. In our profession, active listening is one of the most necessary abilities. It includes verbal and non-verbal elements, such as eye contact, facial expressions, intonation, volume of your voice, even asking and answering questions. Being assertive means a confident and direct approach to resolving problems and dealing successfully with all the passengers and even our coworkers. Consumer trends. Passengers are not the same ones than before because the aviation world is having a fully daily transformation, not only in behaviors or destinations, but choices and needs. Another aspect is cultural awareness. It embraces knowledge and empathy, and the understanding how a person's culture is reflected in values, behaviors, distancing, and approaching. Paralanguage is not what is said, it's how we said something. It involves the tone of voice, gestures, volume, and intonation. One of the most important soft skills are going to be named during this presentation, but it's necessary to approach the definition. Nowadays, work experience and studies are not enough to get a job. And soft skills are the personal attributes that a person uses to interact with other people. They establish a reputation that determine your ability with interactions with coworkers and passengers. Let's see some points about soft skills. The first one, personal. You can compare your soft skills with someone else. However, you need a specific group of soft skills to get a job. If you have been interviewed and if your soft skills match with their profile, there is a huge chance to be hired. So how can we develop those soft skills? Well, many of them are part of your personality. Others are developed in workplaces. The corporate and commercial aviation industry requires interpersonal skills interacting with passengers. In that way, we can show our actions through our words and through our non-verbal communication that we are genuinely interested in them. Right now, due to the globalization, we are living the age of the customer, which is hard because it's very challenging. Passengers are asking for excellence and a more personalized service. It means that we also have to change. Let's talk about some statistics according to the IATA. It costs 10% more and 10 times more to attract a new customer than it does to keep an existing one. 90% will return to fly with our company if the complaint and requests are resolved quickly. 20% of them will do business again with us if an apology is received. Of the customer who complains, 70% will do business again with us if the problem is solved satisfactory for them. So, as you can see here in the graphics, it's a really hard challenge. And effective communication, it's a soft skill to success in these type of cases, as well to keep and attract customers. This skill is based on 3 pillars. Active listening. It means that we can feel our client truly heard, understood, and served. How? We can focus on what the passenger says, watching his or her body language, tune out all the distractions. Assertiveness. Every reaction, every body language that we show during this interaction is going to affect the situation. Sometimes we cannot find a solution, but we can provide alternatives. So in that way, the person is going to feel more important. And let's remember, we need to be polite. Sometimes the situations are hard, and sometimes there are rough passengers. But however, our professionalism is going to show that we can be polite anytime. Customer-centric philosophy. Because we're working with business class passengers and executives, we need to be more sharp. We need to ask about the individual needs. Also, we can use nonverbal empathy gestures, and we need to show them a real interest. Empathy. Empathy, I guess, is one of the most important soft skills. And sometimes, depending on the situation, it's hard to feel it. Sometimes, for other people, it's easier to show it. It has some basic elements, which are feelings, emotional connection, and it helps to enhance experience. So, empathy in customer service is very important because it helps to increase customer satisfaction and loyalty, even after a negative experience. But you're going to tell, how can I practice empathy? Yes, it's not the same when you smile or try to solve a conflict. Empathy is beyond of that. So with verbal, using verbal gestures, verbs like helping, support, assist, being respectful, practicing active listening. Remember, body language is part of the active listening. And avoid being multitasking when you're going to solve any conflict or you're going to talk to a passenger. Guide the situation toward reassurance. Some alternatives, some answers, some solutions. Those are going to be a complex that means attention to the passenger. Close the case. Super, super important. Close the case with sentences that transmit appreciation. And remember, when you talk to the passenger, the way you talk is the way they are going to remember the situation, because emotions influence memories. Cultural awareness. Due to globalization, we have the option to meet many people from many places of the world, as well religions and cultures. It involves understanding how a person culture may inform about their values, traditions, rules, approaching language, among others. And I think these four aspects are very important at the time we are going to face a situation or we are going to talk or have a flight with a person with a different culture. Personal space. The size of the space differs between countries. We should not trespass this distance. It's a big sign of respect. Punctuality. For some Latin American countries, punctuality means 5 or 10 minutes after. Well, and for some European countries, getting late means an offense. Food. Depending on the country or religion, they can be very specific rules that apply the ways the food is cooked or served. Expressing affection. In some countries, public affection is forbidden. In others, hugs and kisses are part to establish a confident friendship. So we must be aware with these gestures and also with facial gestures and expressions, because they may have a different meaning in other cultures. And some tips for ending the presentation. We need to remember all the time that the best customer service starts with a smile. Always Wear the passenger shoes and make it easy for them. Even we are living and we are serving in a white glove service, it is necessary that we make things simpler. Sometimes we feel guilty when something happens, but it is not our fault. You don't need to apologize for something you haven't done. But however, you are in charge of providing solutions and alternatives. Before a flight, if you know that the person is from another country or culture, study the cultural social behaviors before flying with them. And remember, it's a beautiful thing when a career and passion come together. So enjoy your job. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies, very much for this information. We have a couple of questions that came through the chat. A lot have been answered directly. If you'd like, speakers, if you'd like to discuss the questions you received and answer directly, in case those who don't
Okay.
have access to the chat, just read the question that you answered.
Okay, so let me check.
One person did ask as far as help with resumes. There are a lot of different ways to go about that. But, as I did answer the direct question, obviously WCA has a wonderful mentoring program here. That's kind of what we do. And, we can definitely guide you with kind of making your resume being more appealing, the presentation of it. It's definitely something I do while I'm mentoring new people. I take a look at their resume, I make suggestions. So you can go that route if you're interested in having a mentor. There are agencies that do resumes. You definitely want to speak to somebody that does this particular job though, because they will know keywords, skill set that's being looked for, things like that. If anybody else has suggestions on the panel for other ways to fix a resume, go ahead and add to that.
May I say something, please? I can help Dahana with the resume, and I want to answer as well to Magdalene. I was answering in the chat, but I can tell her because I knew her. She was one of the girls who reached out to our mentor group. She's living in Africa, and she wants to become a pilot, right, Magdalene? If you can hear me, just please confirm this. But I invited her to this workshop because maybe, who knows, before reaching to a pilot job, she can be a flight attendant, who knows. So the problem with the visa is because she was asking about the visa in here. Usually the American companies, they ask for a green card, legal work permit to work in US. And this it's a little bit difficult to obtain because you can obtain either if you are married with an American citizen or if you apply for gaining a green card. So the same thing is also in Europe with the company. They ask for European work permit as well. So in case, for example, if you are an American and if you want to work in Europe, you need also a European work permit as well. So maybe it's easier for Magdalene, for you to look around in your country. For sure, we can help you with this. Or there is another way. You can become a member of WCA, and you can apply for one of our scholarships, because we have 2 rounds of scholarships, usually 2 rounds per year, one in the spring and one in the fall. So you asked also about the CRM training, and we had a scholarship for a CRM certificate. So in order to do that, I will write you down the email address and where we can join our organization. And everyone who is a member in WCA can apply for a scholarship. So it's an opportunity for you to gain a scholarship of WCA, so it's easier for you. But if you have some more questions, please feel free to ask.
In the chat, I placed our newly initiated private group, WCA private groups. You're free to join. It's for mechanics, pilots, flight attendants, each with your particular field. Where if you're not comfortable asking questions in this setting, that you could join the Facebook group and ask your questions there. And these ladies are also part of that and are willing to respond to you directly if that's what you also need. But were there any other questions? You'd have to unmute.
Yes, please. Or any other subject that you want to ask. Something related to flight attendants, please feel free to ask us. We'll be happy to assist you in any issue. Okay, the Hannah answered. Thank you. Please advise where I can forward my resume. Okay. So I will let her know where she can send us her resume. Okay. I just wanted to
so one question is, do you have to live in one specific base or can you live and commute to work?
So I'll answer that if that's okay. You know,
Please.
It depends on who you're working for, to be honest with you. Some people do actually let you commute. There are jobs that are rotational, means that you have maybe 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, and you're allowed to actually live anywhere and commute. Most of the time, I will say, though, that wherever that aircraft or company is based, because they have on-call pop-up trips, usually they require maybe a 2-hour call out. So, you know, you have to live within a couple of hours of the aircraft or the company, you know, wherever it's located. That's usually how that is going to work. In Europe, I'm not exactly sure if that's the same. So I don't know if anybody wants to comment with the European trips.
Hi. It's the same.
I'm
you can
Sharon.
have
You
please,
can ask
Sharon.
me questions about Europe.
No, please.
So about,
You can answer, please.
okay. Well, first I would like to introduce myself. My name is Sharon. I'm the International Liaison for Women in Corporate Aviation. I have been in corporate aviation for 11 years. I have been a flight attendant for 22 years. And I'm a cabin crew manager for a private operation in Geneva, Switzerland. So the question regarding bases, it depends really on what you do, whether you are a corporate flight attendant to a big company, or you're a private flight attendant to a private owner, or you are a freelancer. But now with the COVID, a lot of operators prefer to hire someone that is at least 90 minutes close to the airport. And a lot of them would hire, even as a freelancer, someone that is really already in the base because of the country's restriction to fly in flight attendants to join the aircraft. So if you want to fly as a contract flight attendant, you can start from your local base. Did it help?
So I have a question for you ladies. Have any of you worked for commercial and made the transition over to corporate? And if so, how did
Yes.
you do, how did you do that?
Yes. So I was the cabin services director for a international airline that is based in the Middle East. And then through Women in Corporate Aviation, I won a scholarship and did a transition training. Through the support of Women in Corporate Aviation, I was able to start up as a freelancer. And that's how I get into the business many, many years ago.
Congrats.
Yes, it's possible. So what I can advise you is that apply for the scholarships that Women in Corporate Aviation offers. Get into the networking and mentorship program, because every member are amazing. Every member can really help you to be the best in the industry. And that's how I made it in this field. Thank you.
I transitioned as well. I started in commercial in 1999. And in 2006, I went from a major airline to corporate, really just applying for jobs. It was a little easier back then. The industry was not as saturated as it is right now, but I was hired and sent to training. Again, which doesn't happen a lot right now. Typically, you go to training and then you have it on your resume and apply. But I was really lucky in 2006 when I was able to easily make that transition. And then once I had that job, it just built with my experience, and it was easier to get other jobs. So it is, and I see it every day. So people do transition. It's not huge. It is definitely a different job. So whether you have no airline experience or you have airline experience, it is not going to change how you do your job or if that makes you a better candidate. I will say that because a lot of people ask me that. Do you have to be commercial first? Or, does that make you, more appealing to people that are going to be hiring? The answer is no, it does not. It's a different animal. So some people like that. They see, oh, you've been a commercial flight attendant, you've done the safety training, which definitely is a little bit more, it's 6 weeks more than, 1 week. But at the same time, it just depends on the operation you're going to work for, to be honest with you. Some want it, some don't. But, when you're being hired, they look at everything. They look at the big picture of who you experience, what the owners might be looking for, where you live. So it's really kind of the big picture.
Great. So a lot of questions in the mentor group are, well, they offer these different trainings in different places, but how do I know I'm getting the right kind of training, or if I'm in the right kind of training program? What are some things that I can look for that says this is a good program to get my training?
Well, there are different kind of training that you need to get into the business, and any experience, any training are all valuable. So no one, for example, you have, in order for you to excel in corporate flight attendant job, you need to have a very good experience and knowledge in gastronomy, wine. You have to be a people person. I think Roxanda mentioned that with all the skill sets that you need a lot of interpersonal skills, because you're flying with ultra high net worth customers all the time, and it's about that feeling that you need to possess, because sometimes they don't want to be disturbed. Sometimes you need to be a mind reader, basically, because through their actions, sometimes they look at you and then they expect you to know everything, even you don't know anything. So it's just that. So I say that you invest in any kind of training or program that could enhance your skill sets, and especially in this job, really focus on culinary, gastronomy, your soft skills, and a lot of awareness in general awareness of where you travel, where you go, what are the latest things going on around you, because they expect you to know everything once you are on board. They just rely on you with all the information.
Is there any accreditations that the training program needs to have, or under any umbrella or any group, as opposed to like a mom and pop?
A lot of operators prefer for you to have a safety training and service training offered by Flight Safety International and Air Care FACTS. These are the two most, recognized programs by most operators. Also, the Da Vinci program and any other program there is. When I, do a lot of resume review for a lot of candidates, of course, a lot of these training vendors are very recognized in the industry, but also I look at others that offers the modules that they need for the job. So for me, it doesn't matter where you get the program, as long as you went through this kind of workshop or modules, so that you're able to perform your duties on board.
Great, thank you. We have about 2 to 4 more minutes. Are there any other questions that we have for this panel?
Just to mention, Tanisha, I put it down here in chat, a lot of Facebook groups where you can join these groups. There are flight attendants group for private aviation. Also, you can also follow on Instagram. We have a lot of corporate flight attendants with very, very interesting and useful nice pages. There is a community, in fact, of flight attendants. So please join these groups, follow these groups on Instagram. There is a resourceful source for everybody who who is new in this industry, or if they want to know more about culinary, about wines, about everything. So it's free and it's very useful. I just want to encourage everyone to evolve and invest in themselves, because each training they take is an investment in themselves. You will need these trainings, either they are etiquette, wine trainings, culinary, CRM, communication trainings, whatever they are very useful in this job. And this job, it's practically a job with multiple hats. So you will need to know everything. You have to be invisible on board, but to be visible in front of the customers. So try to do and try to invest in yourself, because it's the most important thing you can do in this period. And if you want to get a job, to get hired, because imagine that the companies, they have the opportunity to choose from the candidates. So your resume, your letter of recommendation, your letter of intent should be well done and in a professional matter, because it's the way how they can choose you. It's like, you know, your resume will say, pick me, because it's different. It's something very different that the recruiters will see. If you are not going to do a research about the company, and if you don't know how to present yourself in front of the recruiters for an airline job, this is a minus for you. So definitely no. And please don't be disappointed if you don't get hired immediately, because we are living different times right now. I don't want to say otherwise, but different times than the others. But there is a job for everyone, and the airlines are recovering. The aviation industry, it's coming back, and please don't be discouraged if you don't get hired from the first application you sent.
I want to add
Um,
one more thing coming from the
Please.
US when it comes to trainings. So there are many different training programs out there, but 97% of the time, when companies are looking for what training needs to be on that resume in order to work, it's Flight Safety International and Air Care Facts. There is a company, Corporate Air Care Parts, CAPS, that sometimes they can use, but those two, Air Care Facts and Flight Safety International, are the ones that in the US, everybody really looks for. So some of the other ones that were mentioned, yes, they are training programs, but to avoid having to possibly pay twice for training, those two are your safety for sure places to go if you want to make sure that anybody in the US would hire you. So I just want to stress that.
Thank you, ladies.
Yeah.
We had one question from Daniela.
Please, Daniela.
You'd have to unmute.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Hi.
Sorry, my camera is not working. I do apologize, but I was listening carefully everything. And I really want to mention one company, especially in Romania, but it's also doing online training about future VIP corporate flight attendants. It's amazing. I had this course, and it really focused on the important aspects and responsibilities of working on board the corporate jet and the role, the skills, tools, and everything a flight attendant needs. So if you guys want to take a look, be my guest, you'll be impressed of what these guys are doing.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Daniela, for your feedback. Yes, thank you.
Well, great. This will conclude our first call of the Sweet 16 series. Our next call will be mechanics, and then in August and in September will be the pilots. We will be having intermittent calls. We're hoping to initiate a scholarship conference call, discussing what's needed, how to apply for those scholarships that we mentioned for WCA, or even others with that cover recommendations, resumes, how to present yourself to request a scholarship. So look for that sometime within the year. We want to thank you again for participating, and you guys have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you everybody for this workshop, for joining us, and I want to thank you to my fellow colleagues for WCA for the work they've done, because it was a teamwork, and for this opportunity that we can share with you all this information. We are waiting for you to our next workshops. You are most than welcome, and we're waiting for you to join WCI as well. Thank you, and have a nice or a nice day.
Bye.
Congratulations to the presenters. It was a really good presentation today. I've been in this business for a long time, but I was